the amazement of the people that heard him. There were all sorts of monks, not just Franciscans. They were it all. It was not a man speaking, it was the Spirit itself. Everything was so eloquent, so perfect, and he didn't prepare anything. He just spoke. And that's it. The entire Franciscan order, they have a preacher. They have a mega, immense preacher. Saint Anthony of Padua. It is with awe and with amazement, with a shivering heart, that we will speak today about one of the greatest saints and masters that humanity as a whole ever saw. It is beyond just the Christian view of things. Why is it our interest? Why should we take the time? This person lived 800 years ago, was not rich, was not, I don't know what, having some kind of earthly power, was not a scientist, is not in the regular. Why should we care? And the reason is that he was a model. He was a model human being. And being a model human being, he was empowered to make miracles. He didn't do paranormal phenomena because he was a magician, because he could do tricks. No, he was immaculate. His heart was, as you will see in the presentation, free from selfishness. His faith was total. His inner silence was complete. He was totally humble. And because of his purity, because he was a selfless model human being, his preachings, his action was confirmed through an immense number of extraordinary miracles. And it is not, the miracles alone, they don't mean much. Well, they mean a lot. They show a certain skill. But it is this combination of virtue, of being a model, as a brother, and as a devotee of God, and this great power that confirms, yes, this one, indeed, this one is a model, follow him. So let's dive straight in. He was born end of 12th century, 1195, 15th of August, as Fernando, very noble family. Some ancestors were even some of the Crusader kings, governors, military, very, very high, very rich and pious, good-hearted. He had a very religious temperament, and he joined the monastery at the age of 15. It was at a time when it was okay. I think if now you're 15, you tell your mother you go to live in a monastery, she'll hospitalize you, give you some pills or something. But it was, at that time, very much all right. He joined the Augustinian order. And his friends and family, he was very central in their life, and his friends and family would come and visit him so much, he didn't have the solitary that he searched. So he moved to another monastery far from Lisbon, and there he found more solitude. Now his destiny changes when 5 Franciscan monks come to stay the night. Anthony was the one in charge of guests, and he was hosting them in the monastery. Asked them, where are you going? He says, oh, we're going to die. What do you mean? We're going to Morocco to preach, and our brothers went before us and they died. And they asked for his intervention to bring the bodies back. He was of a very high family. He spoke to the King of Portugal. The bodies came back. Now he spoke to these monks who were disciples of Francis, and the Franciscan order was established 11 years before, so it was a very vivid, you know how they are dressed, the sack and the rope, that was the new fashion. And he was very intrigued. He was happy being an Augustinian, but he found something there which thrilled his heart much more. He continued his contact with the Franciscans. They had a little convent, a little house, what they had, pretty poor facilities nearby, and they would come and beg for food, because that was the Franciscan thing. They would leave nothing for tomorrow. They would beg for the food of that day and work for it. If they could, if you gave them some bread, they would clean your house. But they would not keep for tomorrow. And they would have no possessions. It was very, very Christian. And he became friends with one of the Franciscans there. And that Franciscan died. Now, Anthony was miraculous from a very young age, and he saw how that Franciscan, after dying, does not stay in purgatory. How his spirit, because for most people, according to the Christian belief, you die, you go to purgatory for a while, and then it's either heaven up or hell down. But there is a period of purification that even people very good will pass, and that Franciscan, being so pure, having a clear subconscious, really purifying inside, he just went past purgatory and went straight to heaven. And that, for Anthony, clicked something. He saw the martyrs, he saw that guy, and he was like, I'm becoming a Franciscan. So he went and he asked the Franciscans, brothers, I want to become one of you, but let me become a martyr. Let me go and preach in Morocco. I want to give my life for Christ, for conversion. So they agreed. He goes to Morocco, but it's not his destiny. He gets to Morocco and he's sick. He's too sick to preach, and if you don't preach, nobody kills you. It wasn't like they just kill you because you're European. So he didn't succeed in being a martyr. He was a burden on the community there, being sick, and so he said, okay, I take my boat and return to Portugal. And again, destiny like destiny, a storm appeared, and instead of going to Portugal, they had to maneuver the storm, and he arrived in Italy. He meets some Franciscans, and he continues with them to the big rally where he meets Franciscus in the flesh. Now Franciscus is old, and it's the end of the Franciscan. He's close to death. They will still have a few years of overlap, but this is like the Franciscus is going to pension. He already renounced the leading of the organization, and he's like the mentor, but not there are other people who admin the organization. So he goes there, and it's like they have their yearly meeting, and then they find jobs, who is going to that monastery and so forth. Nobody takes them at all seriously, Anthony, and eventually he goes, being a priest, and he goes to a little convent in São Paulo. There his spirituality crystallizes very much. There are only 6 or 7, he's cleaning toilets, he's very happy, he's doing the simplest jobs, even he is the priest. Nobody knows who he is. He is a saint already. He did miracles already. But he is so humble, nobody knows. And he is very happy, nobody knows. So he has his solitude, and he has his peace there, and he meditates in a cave. And the brothers, they think he's another humble brother like us. And he thinks there are other humble brothers like me. He is essentially humble, and this humility will escort him throughout his life. Again, destiny like destiny. If he would have stayed like that, now he's 26 and he died at 36. If it would have been another 10 years like that, we would have probably spoken of someone else today. But destiny like destiny wanted to share Saint Anthony's gift with the world. Now, before we continue, just try to contemplate. There are many, in my opinion, saints like that nobody found out that they are saints. In the Jewish tradition, there's a certain amount of hidden saints which keep the world intact, and nobody knows that they are saints. They are selling toilet paper, they are the bus driver, they are working in the post office, but they are perfect. And Anthony was such a hidden saint. And these hidden saints, even if nobody knows, or in the Buddhist tradition, a fisherman would then, at the moment of death, his body would dissolve in light. It will take 7 days. Normally, everybody would come to watch how the body dissolves in light. So Anthony was such a hidden saint. And then there was a ritual of inauguration, new monks. Somebody had to do the homily. Somebody had to say some words to preach. Nobody prepared anything. They were like, you do it, you do it. No, Anthony, you do it. And he said, me to preach? And the quote that he said, I'm much more suitable in cleaning the toilet. That would be a suitable job for me. But then it was his superior, and he says, in the name of holy obedience, you do it. And Anthony was very obedient. So he opened his mouth, and the Holy Spirit spoke through him. The amazement of the people that heard him. There were all sorts of monks, not just Franciscans. They were it all. It was not a man speaking, it was the Spirit itself. Everything was so eloquent, so perfect, and he didn't prepare anything. He just spoke. And that's it. The entire Franciscan order, they have a preacher. They have a mega, immense preacher. So they ask Francis to make an exception in his case. You see, Franciscans and Francis, he didn't like theology. He says you don't need to study, you need to love. If you think too much, if you lose yourselves in all sorts of petty arguments and conflicts, if this was like, you forget to love God, you forget to love Christ. He says, I forbid you to have too many books. You have the gospel, have Psalms, that's it. And he would get really angry. He cursed one of his monasteries because they collected too much books and too much property. And he never forgave them. And then the people asked if Anthony can study theology and teach theology. And Francis said, yes, we make an exception for Anthony, because he knew Anthony is a saint. He says you study theology and you teach theology, but not in a scholarly way, so that to awaken the heart, to awaken devotion, you do it with purity. So Anthony was studying in different universities, Bologna, and teaching and so forth, and he was the first theologist, the first Franciscan theologist, and he would explain the message of Francis and bring it in all sorts of ways. Now, he would go and preach in Europe, and when he would speak, first in churches, and then the churches would get overloaded, then in the city square, and in the city square, then he would just speak in a field, and there would be 30,000 people coming to hear him. He would speak quietly and normally like that. Everyone could hear him. And as we will see, he had also this miracle of tongues. He would speak in one language, and you would hear him in another, and you would understand. It's like this Zoom translation. He had a subtle technology there. He speaks and he preaches, and he goes for 10 years of preaching across Europe, and he sets Europe on storm.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.